What's up guys, today we are diving head first into the brutal raw world of Absolute Green Arrow issue number 4. The cover sets an absolute insane fight showing a massive hulking monster charging through a torrential downpour. This beast is taking a barrage of arrows straight to the chest and shoulders, bleeding out everywhere, but he is still screaming in pure rage. Who is this monster, and can Green Arrow even stop something this powerful? Let's jump right into the pages and find out. We kick off the interior pages in the middle of absolute chaos as the giant, terrifying brute trading heavy punches inside a burning warehouse. This multi-aid monster lets out a roaring scream of soul as a shower of bullets hits his shoulder with a sharp bam bam bam. But the action gets even crazier because an elite female operative leaps straight onto the behemoth's back, pressing a handgun right into his neck. While the monster continues shouting his war cry, shouting out awe and mon to spell out Solomon. In a narration caption, deliver a chilling piece of advice. Never be ashamed of being underestimated. Anyone underrating you, they're handing you the edge. The operative on his back unloads a devastating point-blank burst straight into the monster's face with a loud bam bam bam. The brute stumbles backward through the air, completely dazed, muttering out the final piece of his name, Grundy. The fighter in the red suit lands a clean strike to finish the combo, while inner monologue caption revealed that this fierce female gunfire is actually a reimagined hardened version of Dinah Lance. Dinah remembers her dad's golden rule: never let them see you flinch, because lances don't give anyone that satisfaction. She turns back, calling out to her teammate Harper Raw to let her know the coast is clear, but she realizes with a curse that somewhere in the fiery chaos, the massive monster has managed to vanish entirely. The story takes a dark and chilling turn as Dinah realizes she has completely lost track of Roy Harper. We cut straight to the shadow of the Hammond facility where a terrifying skeletal masked assassin with a glowing red eyes creeps up behind a guard. And guys, this is actually the Arrow himself. He wraps a garrote wire tightly around the man's throat, choking the life out of him silently before dumping his body onto the cold concert floor. The Arrow steps over to a high-tech desk workspace, pulling out a severed hand to bypass the biometric security. He presses the dead hand squarely onto a scan tablet and a computer monitor instantly flashes green, reading, "Welcome, Mr. Hammond. How can I help you?" Looking at the screen, the Arrow mutters out a cold breath. My God, as he uncovers a massive top-secret conspiracy. The operatives infiltrate deeper into a secret facility and stumble upon a truly disturbing scene. Rows of medical beds are lined up under harsh and surgical lights, covered in horrifying human corpses sporting purple, tentacle and sharp teeth. Harper stares in absolute disgust, realizing that a corrupted billionaire named Hammond is actively experimenting on an innocent citizen to create literal monsters. She vows to uncover the proof needed to take down his corrupted empire, no matter how much money he has. But as she searches an abandoned disk, a computer screen suddenly blinks to life with a chilling message thanking Mr. Hammond and asking if he wants to continue. An automated audio log begins to play, revealing Hammond's twisted hubris as he brags about being a part of a newly elite class of centi-billionaires worth over $100 billion. The pressure reaches a boiling point as this ruthless mob boss completely unhinged, taunting his hostage while a shadowy figure watches silently from the background. The captive Holloway is sobbing in pure terror, pleading that he's innocent and that he has absolutely no loyalty left to Oliver Queen after getting publicly disgraced and fired. But the integrator doesn't care about his tears. He smirks coldly and introduces his freakish tech operative lurking in the green-lit darkness. This masked enforcer adjusts his yellow-tinted goggles, stepping forward to spill the beans on a rogue criminal syndicate link. He reveals that the villainous Edwin Zeitel, the absolute psycho known as Vertigo, personally set them up with a mad scientist named Dr. Iker to engineer the perfect biological weapon. The tech operative pulls back his mask to show a truly ghastly face, bragging that while other global fat cats think they are big thinkers, he is the only one who bought a personal Dr. Moreau to push the absolute limits of science. He explains that Hammond gave his twisted doctor an isolated laboratory sandbox to play with human test subjects. The scene turns into pure body horror as we see a helpless victim pinned flat onto an interrogation table, looking up in sheer panic as venomous spider is dropped directly onto his forehead. The mad scientist calmly remarks about finding the exact interaction where human and archaic biology merge while the victim screams out in pure agony that he can't feel his legs. With a violent, bloody scream, a dozen grotesque, multi-jointed spider limbs rip straight out of the man's torso while the mob boss stands over the bloody mess with sinister grins. The mastermind laughs in pure triumph, taunting his hostage and revealing that while the entire world thought Hammond vanished after Green Arrow's first strike, he was actually hiding out in this exact facility the whole time. Right on cue, Dinah Lance breaks through the door with her pistol drawn, screaming at the thugs to get their hands off. But the narration drops a massive lore bomb connecting the dots on this entire operation. This twisted island research lab was explicitly built for Dr. Iker to run illegal human trials, and they used a human trafficker named Jobel Slade to supply the innocent victims. The captive hallway blurts out the final pieces of the puzzle, mentioning Miraclo. Dinah snaps back, demanding to know what the legendary chemical enhancement has to do with any of this, as Hallway explains that the Reese's uncle synthesized one of the most powerful steroids on the planet and slapped it with that exact name. The mad scientist drops the most insane twist of the entire series, explaining that the Miraclo formula was actually used as a foundation to completely jumpstart dead cellular tissue in specific subjects. He chillingly reveals that when Oliver Queen died, listen for this, his body fit their exact criteria, so they secretly revived his corpse and released him back into society. But when things went off the rails, they had to go out and reclaim their stolen property. Dinah is utterly sickened by the revelation, shouting that it wasn't enough for them to just murder Oliver, they had to defile a good man's corpse for their twisted insanity. She cuts the talk short and unleashes a furious muzzle flash, shouting a thug right in the leg with a loud BAM! The captive bodyguard Hallway screams out that Oliver Queen was 10 times the man these monsters will ever be, but the villain just laughs it off, sneering that he knew the real Oliver Queen and that Vertigo told him exactly how annoying the hero actually was. The story pulls us back into a massive flashback labeled 2 years ago to show us what Oliver Queen's life looked like before the chaos began. He is hanging out at high-end billionaire gala, scrolling through his phone and laughing off internet trolls who accuse him of staging fake alpha male theater just to look like a hero. We see him casually chatting with Count Vertigo, Edwin Zeitel, who mockingly tells him that the king of Vlatava appreciates Oliver making time for his son Hector. Oliver says goodbye to a passing businessman, calling out by Hammond, showing that all of these corrupt elites used to run in the exact same high society social circle. Oliver passionately vents to his friends, complaining that he has donated millions to victim advocacy group and tried to convince trafficking survivors to press charges against the corrupt Jobel Slade. But absolutely nobody trusts a billionaire. His buddies just sighed, jokingly telling him that if he wants to hang around people who don't secretly resent him for his extreme wealth, Hammond is the only one who does it completely outright. The flashback gets even deeper as Oliver opens his heart, admitting something that sounds simple but runs incredibly deep. He explicitly started Green Arrows because he genuinely just wanted to help people, We see them looking out of bustling city streets as Oliver breaks down the brutal reality of his home. He explains that Star City is one of the wealthiest places in the richest country on earth. Yet, 1 in 4 people there is still live in absolute poverty. He questions the entire point of his massive wealth and corporate influence when all of his millions in donations haven't changed a single thing, while the world crumbles. His companion fires back with a cold defense of the elite, arguing that society loves a scapegoat so they don't have to take responsibility for their own choices. He claims that the rich are just the modern in boogeyman, arguing that historically it has always been the elite who pushed human civilizations forward, but Oliver stands his ground with a fierce look, declaring that for most of the world just surviving is brutal battle and it is up to those with true power to stand up for them, even if it means being completely hated and feared by their own peers. The flashback gets even deeper. Even deeper. As Oliver argues that billionaires need to use their massive privilege to actively fix society, believing they were literally chosen to help save the world, Edvin Zeitel steps in with a sinister, calculated smile, revealing that his own family has been quietly buying up massive controlling shares in American news and media networks for the past decades to control the national narrative. The corrupt elite corner Oliver, straight up asking him if he wants to play ball and help them control the country. Oliver admits he wants to save his city, confessing that he's actually been heavily considering running for a position to become a damn good mayor. But the shadows completely take over the frame. Play mayor. Mayor? God, Ollie, why would we make you mayor when we can make you president? We jump right back to the horrific present day where Hammond is desperately backtracking, pleading that he never wanted Oliver Queen dead because he was one of them. Dinah Lance keeps her gun level up straight at his head, but inner monologue caption reveal a deeper, desperate hunt for the truth. She purposefully lets Hammond lead her directly to where they've been keeping Oliver's remains, bringing her right back to where her investigation started. Hammond gestures wildly toward the operating tables, bragging about Dr. Iker's early tests failures, including their mindless massive Solomon Grundy and flat useless failure named Jack Spratt. He explains that those early experiments allowed Iker to completely halt cellular decay and even regrow entire organs. But then, guys, he drops the ultimate bombshell. He reveals that Iker believes Oliver Queen was the absolute key to achieving true long-lived escape velocity. As Hammond confidently reaches out his gloved hand to pull back a white medical sheet, he smugly declares that Oliver fit every single piece of necessary criteria, proving he was far more useful to them as living test subject than just a pile of spare meat. Hammond pulls back the sheet and exposes a truly nightmarish visual. He complains that even dead Ollie found a way to flip him the middle finger, revealing Oliver's pale corpse has been completely butchered and chopped up into pieces. Diana's eyes widen in pure, unadulterated horror as she trembles, muttering that they literally chopped him to pieces while assuming all the talk of rejuvenation meant he was actually alive. Realizing he's in deep trouble, Hammond panics and frantically screams out for his monster, shouting, "Grundy, this is Hammond, wake up!" Right on cue, with a big scream sound, a mangled fleshly abomination weird into cables violently twists alive on the table, setting up an absolute bloodbath of cliffhanger. So now the situation goes from a nightmare to absolute hell. You know what I did there? Absolute hell. As the butchered as the butchered meat on the table begins spilling out its name, groaning Solomon. Dinah Lance draws her gun in pure panic, but she can only watch as the fleshy cables fuse together, growing into a hulking grey behemoth with a spin exploding out of its skin. The monster roars out the rest of its name, Grundy, while completely tearing itself away from the table. Dinah screams out, demanding to know what the hell is happening, as she realizes with a total horror that Grundy is absorbing the chopped up pieces of Oliver Queen to resurrect himself. She looks down in shock, and the mysterious cloud hands sprout an actual mouth filled with razor sharp teeth right in front of her face. She yells out, "No," realizing that Grundy can't be the one who gets to come back. Just an arrow suddenly cuts through the green mist, striking a screaming thug directly in the eye. Out of nowhere, the legendary archer himself leaps straight into the fray to save the day. He lands a series of perfect pinpoint shots directly into the monster's face. Narration caption revealed that this ghost knows exactly how and where to place his arrows to stun a creature where normal bullets fail. But with a massive window shattering, the giant Solomon Grundy completely shrugs off the facial injuries, swinging his massive arms through the air to grab the hero. The narration admits that at worst, events well placed, arrows can only hope to shove a beast like this backward. The grey giant lets out an agonized electric scream as a high voltage blue lightning surges through the entire room, framing the final confrontation between the archer and the monster. Hammond watches the fight unfold from the shadow, closely muttering that the archer tactic is clever, but questioning if it's anywhere near enough to survive. The battle turns absolutely brutal as Solomon Grundy snarls out a cold Grundy, completely unfazed by the arrows sticking out of his skull. With a roaring, the monster unholds a devastating backhand strike that sends Green Arrow crashing across the room. Dinah Lance immediately slides across the concrete floor, unloading her handgun with a loud bam 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 straight into the monster's legs. Her inner thoughts race as she tries to figure out how to put this behemoth down, realizing that since it's made of muscle, it has to have tendons, meaning it has to have an Achilles heel. She targets the joints, and with a painful scream, the giant beast stumbles backward, losing its balance. Dinah cheers out of triumphant "Yeah!" screaming at the monster to fall down as the issue reaches a fever pitch. The battlefield turns into pure desperation as Dinah realizes Oliver Queen is truly dead, leaving her as the only one left to make things right. She desperately tells her team to get up because running is their only chance, but with a sudden painful scream, an ally gets violently thrown backward into the office chairs. Hammond watches the carnage unfold with a smug grin, taunting Diana by telling her that she great things about Solomon Grundy is that he is absolutely persistent. He brags that Grundy is the only test subject who consistently resuscitates, admitting that while he is not ideal, it costs millions of dollars to train him to follow superior brains. Diana forces herself to hold back her pain, refusing to admit she's hurt because showing weaknesses would make Hammond way too happy. While another ally gets launched across the room with a painful, she desperately prays that there has to be a way to stop this unlikable beast. She looks toward the hooded archer, begging Arrow to pull another insane trick out of his sleeve. Her mind races, swearing that all of this bloodshed cannot be for nothing. They have to uncover the truth behind Oliver's murder and break Hammond's empire. But the scene turns into a total comedy of horror because Hammond bursts into a complete rage from the background, screaming out, "Grundy, that bastard took my hand," as the entire facility crashes down around them. Guys, this is it, the absolute jaw-dropping final page of the issue. Solomon Grundy leans in with pure militia roaring out terrifying command. Take his. The hooded archer tries to fight back, his hand reaching out desperately against the monster's chest. Inner narration caption try to hold onto a sherd of hope reading, "We can still pull off a win. We can still make a difference. Even though in my heart I know." But the hope is completely crushed by the final grim caption, "We won't." Right at the bottom of the page, against a horrific backdrop of splattered blood, a massive jagged rip sound effect echoes through the lab as severed gloved hand flies through the air. The issue cuts straight to a brutal to be continued cliffhanger, leaving the archer completely mutilated. Thanks for watching the recap, and subscribe for more content, and to see what happens next, stay tuned for the next chapter of this exciting series. Until then, see you soon.